Hey guys, so I thought I'd do a video on how I'm going to install an electric bilge pump into my Hobie Revo 13. I've been keen to install an electric bilge pump into the Kayak for a while now, just from a safety perspective. Anyone who's used the hand bilge to empty a significant amount of water out of their Kayak will know that it's pretty stressful. It's a lot of hard work, and I'm guessing if I'm out in the ocean and I'm in a difficult situation, just having the electric bilge pump to pump out the water is probably going to be a lot easier. Take that stress away from me. So so I bought what looked like the smallest bilge pump at BCF. There's two models about the same size. This is a model 25DA, and it was about $10 more expensive, or $9 more expensive than the model below that. It's about $50 odd. And I think the previous model did about 1300 liters per hour. This does 18, and only with a small increase in power usage. So I thought that was the best buy in terms of size. I use an FPV 17.5 amp hour battery for my Kayak. These are awesome batteries. I use my Bilge Pro battery holder, which goes into the back hatch, and I probably use about 7 to 8 amp hours on my average trip, which probably takes me from early morning till about lunchtime. I'm able to know that because the charger that I got from FPV actually shows you how many amp hours it actually puts back in when it recharges. So I'm pretty confident that I've got enough battery power on the single one to use the bilge if I ever need to. FPV are really cool because they come with a whole bunch. You can buy like a whole bunch of connectors. Now I'm going to use the splitter to continue running my sounder on the one and the bilge pump on the other. So that will go onto here. What I've done with the bilge pump itself is now this is probably the part that I'm probably going to have to test and see if it works or not, but I'm keen to put the bilge pump sort of centrally under the Kayak. And what I've done for the base is I put 2 layers of all-weather double-sided tape, and I'm hoping that will keep it steady in the yak without coming off. If that doesn't work, then I'll either use Sikaflex or some marine goop or something like that, just to keep it in place in the middle of the Kayak. So yeah, that's a bit of an experiment. See how that goes. I put 2 layers. I think the sort of shape of it fits the bottom of the Kayak pretty nicely in terms of it'll be nice and snug. So I'm guessing that should hopefully work. But if that doesn't, there's other ways of keeping it stuck at the bottom of the Kayak. So anyway, so that's the bilge pump. I've obviously got some marine grade cable just to run that along the Kayak. What I have got from FPV is their fused pigtails. They're pretty awesome. They come default with a 3 amp fuse. I've spoken to them. They're quite happy that I can upgrade it to a 4 amp. I got that from J-Col. Box of those somewhere. Here we go. Little box of those from J-Col. So I'm going to just change that out to a 4 amp. Then what I've done is I bought from BCF the bilge pump, what is it called, mounting brackets. I'm not quite sure exactly what the packet said, and that came with this this sort of outlet pipe. Then what I did was I nosed through Bunnings, and I wanted to be able to put the outlet pipe coming through the grommet on the side pocket of my Kayak. Ideally, I didn't want to have to drill any holes, and I think I've found something at Bunnings that will allow me to push it through the grommet, so through the hole that's already there, and without having to drill any extra holes. I don't know. Let me just see. I've got the picture of the part that I bought from Bunnings. It's a tank outlet threaded end. I have no idea what that is, yeah. I just had a look at it, and that would definitely give me the ability to run it through the side wall of of the kayak. Alright, so that part from Bunnings, the tank outlet, is probably the magic piece as far as the plumbing is concerned. It allows me to put the outlet through the hole that has the grommet, and it normally comes with another part like this, which is actually fixed on the one end of the thread. I cut that piece off and to a length that allows me to push it through the wall and screw this bit on, as well as having enough thread left to put on the end cap. It comes with 2 nice rubber washers, so it should seal up quite nicely on the wall of the kayak. I then added on a 90-degree elbow, and the part that I attached it to the outlet pipe is just a reducer. I then, in terms of the outlet pipe, just used the normal plumbing stainless steel, I can't think of the name now, but one of those things that you can tighten with a screwdriver, and just to keep the pipe onto the reducer, and just to make sure there's no sharp bits floating around on the inside of the kayak, because there are cables running on the side walls of the kayak. I just put some of the Tommy tape, which is the self-fusing plumbing tape, around that, just to make sure that there's it doesn't rub up against any of the cables, whatever the case may be. So for the electric cables, for all the connections, I'm going to be using these waterproof connectors from Super Cheap Auto. They're nice and easy to use. You just crimp the 2 wires together, heat with a heat gun, and you get a nice waterproof connection. As an extra layer of protection over those connectors, I use the shrink tubing. This shrink tubing from J-Car has got glue on inside of it, so when you heat it up, it creates a nice seal. And then obviously, to control the bilge pump, I'm using this waterproof electric switch. I'm going to run the electric switch through this grommet here, where I currently have my cables for my sounder, and I'm just going to stick it on the sidewall next to the grommet itself. I've covered all the parts that I'm going to be using in the installation. Next steps will be to firstly take off the side pockets on either side of the kayak. That's going to make it a lot easier for me to work on either side of the kayak. I'm then going to be checking to see that I can get this switch, once I've taken off this this grommet on the side of the kayak, to see if I can get the switch through the hole while I still have the sounder cables in. I'm really hoping that to be the case. It'll make the installation a lot simpler. I'm then going to obviously do all the electrical connections. Once I've done that, install all the plumbing parts. So this to the side wall of the kayak, this end to the actual bilge pump with a clamp, and I'll once again put some Tommy tape over that. And then the final part will be to actually place the bilge pump on the bottom of the kayak. At the moment, I haven't quite figured out exactly where I'm going to be putting it, but it'll be somewhere near or underneath the kayak seat. And it's really just a question of where it's going to be easiest for me to actually get to. So the rest of the video will pretty much be just all those installation steps. Okay, so I've got both wires connected using those waterproof connectors, and now all I'm going to do is put some of the shrink tubing over it, like that. It's got the glue inside, then I'm going to heat it up, and that should hopefully sort that out, make it nice and watertight. Alrighty, a little glue coming out the one end and glue coming out the other end, and that should create a nice seal and also protect that. And that's pretty much how I'm going to do all the connections. Alright, I've finished all the electrical wiring. I'm pretty happy with all those connections. There, my first one is to the fuse pigtail. I've changed the fuse from a 3 amp to a 4 amp. That then goes down to the wiring by the bilge pump. And obviously one splits off to the switch, one goes directly to the bilge pump. There are two connections there, and I've just put some of the shrink tube over that. And then that goes down to the actual switch itself, where once again I've used some of the smaller shrink tube. And obviously the final connection back to the bilge pump. Once again, I've also used some of that shrink again. Alright, so it's probably worth a test. Going to plug that into my battery. Obviously now it would normally go into the pigtail that's got a splitter on it, but this is going to go directly now to the battery, and we'll just quickly test to make sure that's all good. Should hopefully hear it working. Excellent. Alrighty, so that's done, the wiring's done. Next steps is just to have it all mounted in the kayak. Okay, one last thing before I mount everything into the kayak. I just attach the outflow pipe to the actual bilge pump with those two stainless clips, and just put some of that self-fusing plumber's tape over that, just to make sure there's no sharp edges in the kayak. And now we're ready to roll.